Hi, friends. My name is Penny Olmsted. My students call me Mrs. O. Last year, I was a third, fourth, and fifth grade resource room teacher for students with significant disabilities. For pre-service and newer teachers, that means generally I don't teach students who are with learning disabilities. I teach students with cognitive impairments, multi-handicap, and sometimes autism. I am excited this year because I will be a third and fourth grade teacher. In comparison to last year, I had 3 classes. This year, I only have 2. The reason this is happening is because we have had an influx of new students and students coming into our programs because the school district in which I'm employed by has a very good reputation servicing special ed students. I am an intervention specialist, and I am also an advocate for my students to get the required amount of time needed for their reading program, just as their peers. So often, being a resource room teacher, we have to adapt our classes to meet the needs of students in multiple grades and multiple learning levels. For most teachers, you are grabbing small availabilities of what can look like 20, 30, or maybe 40 minutes here and there, but never all the required time needed of uninterrupted time, like the peers. There are specific differentiation techniques that make me have to modify the curriculum. Of course, they need their time with their learning peers, but sometimes what their peers are doing in comparison to what they need cannot always be met in the general ed classroom. Therefore, providing the allotted time for my students to have the same experiences and learning supports will need to be replicated, yet adapted for growth to happen. The National Reading Panel Report, which is a government, which was a United States government body, which was formed in 1997 at the request of Congress. In this panel in 2002, their research shows that all students need at least 90 minutes of uninterrupted reading each day to become stronger readers. And this instruction must be systematic, explicit, scaffolded, and differentiated across the classroom. I'm here today to try to show you what that could look like for your resource room and for those students with significant disabilities. I have put together a framework modified and adapted to teach our students how to read. The instruction needed for a systematic, explicit, and uninterrupted reading program, such as reading workshop, coupled with phonics instruction, needs to be developed. I am going to show you how this can be done with a 60 to 75 minute a day slotted reading period to meet the needs of your students with varying abilities. Any extra time I can send my students into the general ed classrooms, in addition to for reading, is a gift. The younger, the more easier the task is to accomplish, especially when working with phonics. It gets more difficult the older the students get, and the gaps become larger. The students still have needs, same as their typical peers. So I'm here today to show you how you can make that framework be successful. A typical new reading lesson takes anywhere from 3 to 4 days in your general ed classrooms. I'm here to tell you that my program is 8 to 9 days. On the 10th day is when we do all the assessments and testings to see the progress that they've done. I will first explain my whole group activity for Mondays. All students of all levels receive this instruction. What I do is I place my parapros for those students who have more challenges, and then they can provide the supports needed for them. Every other Friday is the quiz and testing day, and on testing day, the students graph their progress to give them ownership of their own learning, which we post outside of our door with fake names, which is a real big treat for the students to try to come up with a pretend name so that they can see that people are looking at their work, yet when they have a bad day or maybe their quiz didn't turn out the way they wanted, they won't be embarrassed. So to begin with, I set up 3 stations Tuesday through Friday, Monday being whole group learning. They are ran by myself and my parapros. In these stations, we teach word work, we have computer time, and direct instruction by myself. All stations should be at minimum 20 minutes, and I put a few extra minutes in their schedule for transitions. Students with disabilities sometimes need a little more time to transition, Brain breaks and movement is always a great opportunity at that time. During the transitions, I have an area in my room where they can jump on the trampoline, they can go through the squeeze machine, they could um, bounce on the ball, or they can just do yoga, whatever's on the board for them. Each lesson in the beginning sequences include strategic and scaffolded phonological awareness practices to build a solid foundation on early literacy skills as students continue to build their fluent word recognition and decoding automatically. The idea of using this framework is to allow for students to learn the routines. Routines are so important for our students. If they learn a routine, learning becomes easier for them. They can gain better computer access, receive in-depth direct instruction to assist with attaining their IEP goals, and increase their vocabulary words. So on Monday, we do a systematic structured program, and that's when I introduce new sounds. Now, your school district may use different programs. Our school district here, we use, for the most part, Orton Gillingham for intervention. What'll happen is we do the whole section of introduction of sound, and we do words that has that sound in it, and we tap them all out together. So all your students are learning how to tap out sounds and to spell words. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is when we have word work. I do direct instruction so I can teach them those skills more specifically, and then that's when I can also do some of their IEP goals, which is usually in relation to phonological awareness and comprehension, and we get that also all through guided reading. I also follow a guided reading program, and which is a small amount a month to use. And I do want to share that there are wonderful aspects of the guided reading program I use. I think it's like $10 a month I pay for, and I'm going to explain to you more when we get more into the rotation of stations. So that is the first thing we do. Remember, Monday is when we introduce new sounds, and we do that part of the program together. On Tuesday is when we break up into reading level groups. And the reason we have reading level groups is we do whole group learning on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Each grouping is about 20 to 25 minutes long, and they're based on their reading levels. So what we do is we go through the rotation. We have our word work area, and in our word work area, they are giving their list of vocabulary words that go along with the story that they will be reading for the next 10 days. There are so many word work activities that are out there that you can get off the internet or create your own, but I am going to share with you a few of my own. For example, ghost words. That's where you can get a white crayon and they write the word out, and then they get to color it any way they want. This becomes engaging for the students, and then you can do it as many times as they want. The more they get, maybe you can give them a reward. A lot of the times, everyone is given a whiteboard and an eraser. And of course, they use their Expo dry erase marker so that they can practice writing. And a lot of the times for some of my students, as you may know, when they get older, they still aren't writing as they should. So what I do is I introduce handwriting without tears. So I do use some of that program also in my word work. I love using ransom letters. They can cut them out, and then they spell the words that way. And then I text them their vocabulary words. My students who are at level C, D, or E, they usually get 6 words. The next level of readers get 7, and those who are reading the highest in the room, which I call the red group, they get 8 words. Again, another example of word work to do that's engaging for the students. So what I do at the beginning is I give them their vocabulary word list and I text them that it's written, their example, and this is what they will keep with them. I make a copy of this so I can send it home so that they can take it home and practice with their parents if they choose. Some parents encourage homework. Some parents, because of their work schedules and such, they're not able to get to it all the time, but we make sure that all their needs are met here in the program. And again, there is so much with word work. This is a must do with my word work program. Again, I bought this off the internet, a teacher pay teacher. So as I had showed you the ransom and the whiteboard and the typewriter, those are extras that they can do if they get done with their work in time. But this is what they must do. So after they have their word list given to them, they must write down their weekly words for the week. That's when we practice our handwriting structure. On Mondays, on this particular booklet, they can do a color and put their word in there, their next word, a different color, and their next word. On Tuesdays, they will be doing, in this particular booklet, because there are different kind of booklets you can purchase, this is rhyme time. The kids have fun with that one. On Wednesdays, they are going to be a superhero sentence writer. Thursday, syllable sorter. And Friday, they can practice on a practice test, just for practicing to see where their errors are and how they can improve. Now, the following Monday, we do it all over again. We introduce the old sound, and then we review the old sound. Then we introduce the new sound. And then every Monday, that's how it goes. So some of the words in the vocabulary will be introduced for the first time to them, but the second Monday of this 10-day period, they will have already been a little bit familiar because the week before they were practice writing all those vocabulary words. So you'll see a lot of success when they do the second Monday of the class. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit on how we do the rotations. So on Tuesdays, they get their new Tuesdays, they get their new books. Monday is the new sound. The kids get very excited on Tuesday for their new book. Now that book will be read for 2 weeks. A lot of the direct instruction that I do is maybe I use different, like this is a story map. So there are different kinds of graphics that you can use. Here we go. Here's another one. I usually try to use a basic of maybe 2 to 4 at the most. One is for nonfiction, one is for fiction. That is usually the level that my students are working on here. Then I also work on sheets. I get sound sheets so I can practice with them with their words. And you, again, can get that anywhere you want. Again, some of the, your school is already using a program. You can take some of those sheets that they're using from that grade also. What is phenomenal is I use a computer-based program, as I told you before, and it's called Guided Readers. I do have a feeling that they changed their name because they're growing so quickly. I'm going to write it down for you. Guided Readers.com. Guidedreaders.com. With this program, you're able to get a book. Let's see if I have a copy of the book. I do. What's fantastic about this program, friends, is there is also a lesson plan that's involved. And this is what I have taken and modified and adapted to. And I use some of this information to do my own program for my students. So for example, this is level E. This is what some of my students were doing at the end of the school year last year. And in level E, now you can print these in color if you want them just to go to the computer and do it that way too. But I like using both, holding it and doing it online. Online is when you see the color booklet, and I'll explain more about that. But this is great. And the kids on every other Tuesday love getting their new book because they will be working on vocabulary words from this reading for their word work and their guided reading. Here's just a little sample of the lesson plan already written for you. You can use some of the words that they have down here, and then you can integrate some of your letter sounds. That's research-based from a systematic explicit reading program so that you can also use that in your framework for the reading program. So what I do is we have folders with the level of group. This is green group. This happens to be my lowest group. And this is where we keep everything in here for that particular group. Now, I don't know if you guys can see my stand here. This is also in the word work area, and that's where all the sheets are. We even have stringing of letters if the students wish to string letters. I have stamps. And just any manipulative, but one of the funnest ones my students seem to like, and we use no matter what in our reading station, is Play-Doh. The students have to roll it out, which is great exercise. My OT loves that. And then they have to make their letters. This helps with those students who are dyslexic and just needs to have more of a model to look at it when they're writing their letters. And it helps them with, it's like a step up from the handwriting without tears. It lets them be more independent to do it that way. Instead of always looking at the correct answer on the top, they can use this too. So we do it in conjunction with everything. There's not a wrong way. The more, the merrier. I get these little plastic containers. I didn't have to buy them. I think there was food in them or ice cream or something, and then I just reused them. And every student has their own Play-Doh ball with their name on it. Then, of course, we have stamps and ink. So remember, you're doing these words for almost 9 days, 8 days for sure, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hopefully sometimes on that Monday you can get them, which is your 5th day. And then the following week is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday again. Because remember, on that Monday is when you'll get your new sound and review the old sound from the Monday previous, okay? If for some reason you are unable to find some of this information, I would like for you to email me, Penny Olmsted 79 at Gmail. You can also go on Linked, and I also have a page there. I have a Wakelet. And at my Wakelet, I have all kinds of examples and samples of things that can be used, especially when it's related to technology. Because, friends, I did all of this during COVID online, and it was successful. My students still progressed so much with their reading. We were fortunate this year, and I had one of my students move out of my I don't like using the self-contained word, but it's more of a self-contained resource room for math and reading. And he got to move out and he's going into general ed reading. So I think it works. I'm confident it works from the past years that we've been doing this. And COVID, it worked. And you don't, again, have to use any of the resources I did, but what you have to do is to use that framework and then to use in that framework your own, whatever expense it is, your own materials to put into that framework. So please feel free to see me on LinkedIn or email me. I am also on Twitter, and that's probably about it for right now. So please feel free to contact me, and I can give you more information. I can give you more definite information. I do practice when we do the new sounds, we do the mouth positions. I've considered the sound wall, but for myself, this has been more consistent, and it meets all the needs of my student, where the sound wall doesn't. It just takes up a lot of space. So then I just use handouts so that I can present that information to my students. Thank you.